Moderately certain her neighborhood was safe for the time being, Emily drags herself back home to clean the blood from her clothes and decompress. Instinctively heading upstairs with the thought of indulging in a long overdue bath, Emily's scattered mind is rudely confronted by the reality she had kept hidden. Unable to put off the uncomfortable task of moving the couple, Emily retrieves her gloves once more before carefully transporting the decomposing corpses. Trying to ignore the horrors that had occurred in her previously tranquil bathroom, the Warren doctor finally cleans the filth from her skin and inspects the splint around her leg. Too restless to sleep as the first shafts of dawn begin to inch over the horizon, Emily decides to check the neighboring homes yet again, both wanting to keep them clear and to bring back whatever supplies had been left behind. Finding her job of dispatching the infected growing easier and easier as she acquires an even better tool than her flimsy screwdriver, the desperate doctor begins to slip into a state of focused necessity. As a collection of the perishable goods she had retrieved boils in the oven, Emily's unoccupied mind begins to fill with the thoughts of uncertainty and doubt once more. A gnawing and relentless uneasiness was ready to consume her the moment she stopped to rest, so despite her exhausted state and aching leg, the struggling woman pushes herself outside once more.
This is a recorded broadcast.
Confronted with the grisly state of her front lawn as the light of day reveals her handiwork, Emily's eyes scans over the corpses before settling on a familiar wristband amongst the dead. Making sure no other infected was prepared to surprise her, and still self-conscious of stripping bodies out in the open, the dutiful doctor collects her first subject and gets to work.
Subject 007. Name Heather Reed. Subject's wristband was marked 5 days ago, though it appears she never arrived at Louisville General. Subject 008. Subject 009. Subject 010 through right orbital center of nasal bone. July 16th. My window to flee this dead city, it's closed. The streets are packed with the infected, and even driving on this stupid fucking leg is near impossible with the pain. Unless my situation changes, which I could only imagine would change for the worse, I am stuck in my home, on my quiet street. To keep myself busy, and feel some sort of purpose, I've been continuing to examine the deceased infected I've come across, cataloging what I can without proper tools. I've made a few observations. Their eyes are severely compromised, probably limiting their vision to blurry shapes and movement. So the sense they rely upon the most is their hearing, which appears to be unaffected by the virus. An undeniable majority of the infected show no sign of physical contamination. My assumption is that the virus turned airborne in the last week or so, leading to the incredible amount of infected across the city and, now, the world. If it is indeed airborne, then there is no way I haven't come into contact with it yet. Though I show no signs of illness, there must be some characteristic that makes us immune. No matter what, I will continue to take what precautions I can. But I can't help but wonder if I'd be able to find some way to combat this if I could just make it to Louisville General. One of the infected I examined today was being transported there, before she turned. Which means the doctors had to have been treating it and taking their own notes, which would be far superior to my own. Anyway, I'm exhausted. And tomorrow I plan on making sure my stunt hasn't led to more of the infected at my door. It's getting easier to not see their faces. Emily.
Waking up due to the endless discomfort in her leg, the groggy woman douses the pain with medication and drags herself from the previous bliss of rest. Searching through the dark neighborhood from her window, she's able to spot the slightest of movements coming from a neighboring yard. Recognizing the threat of another infected, and not wanting to wait until it decided to be a problem, Emily heads downstairs to prepare and wait for first light.
Please find a way to survive. Please.
Scanning over her street with a scrutinizing gaze she'd never used before, her mind makes sure that every dark shape and vague silhouette poses no threat before she works towards her target. Confronting how nerve-wracking it was to face two infected without the use of her gun, the terrified survivor has to resist the urge to use the easier weapon so that she didn't simply multiply her problem. Backtracking briefly to the first man she had confronted, she investigates the odd shape beneath his clothes before discovering a worn-looking axe. Pushing down the memories of splitting wood with her father, Emily hefts the heavy implement over her shoulder and relies upon her focus. Scavenging through the home and quickly filling her satchel to the point where the strap dug painfully into her shoulder, Emily is relieved to discover an assortment of bags to help lighten the load. As the day marches on, and the restless doctor continues to run from her own thoughts, her mind eventually lands upon the nearby police station and what might still remain inside. Though her hope was minimal in regards to finding something uplifting, she wondered if some leftover paperwork, or perhaps even a hastily recorded note, might still linger in the surely abandoned facility. Disposing of the shadow from some shattered celebration, Emily begins to wonder from which house the infected had shambled before her attention is pulled by another loitering threat. Just down the road from her destination, when she's distracted by another shape draped in a hospital gown, Emily's curiosity gets the better of her, despite the slumped-over infected waiting for her approach. Formulating more questions as she finds another patient marked for transfer to Louisville General, Emily is left little time to ponder on any answers as she turns her feet back towards the station. Only getting a quick glimpse inside the seemingly pristine space before the battering of the window attracts the previously docile infected, Emily determines there's nothing here worth risking her life over, as she hastily limps her way back down the street. Ready to admit that the outside world was too dangerous for her to use as a distraction, Emily still clings to the need to busy herself, though now focuses her attention to whatever remains within her quiet walls. Settling into an evening of organizing and sorting through the collection of books gathering dust upon her shelves, Emily's senses are allowed to slip as a low and unexpected drone begins to drift through the home.
What's that noise? Hang on a minute, is that a helicopter? Oh my god, that's a helicopter. Okay. Jesus Christ! Okay, no. Okay. Holy shit. Oh my god. Okay.
Having to fight her thundering heart in an attempt to calm down as the sound begins to fade, Emily is left to stare at the dingy walls of her neglected gym as her mind races to decipher what she had just seen. Playing back the image of a flurry of death screeching from the helicopter, she watches it fly back over the horizon. The active doctor's mind begins to catch up as she realizes the path it had taken and the noise it had made. Now incredibly aware of the fact that it had opened fire downtown and then flown directly over her neighborhood, Emily's skin begins to prickle with anxiety as the thought of curious infected begin to consume her mind. Briefly attempting to calm her nerves as catastrophe appears to be avoided, Emily's fragile state is suddenly shattered by a broken window and the unmistakable sound of her most relentless fear. surrendering to the reality that her work had been undone, and now able to hear the patient growls of lost infected through her walls. The exhausted doctor finally fails to summon enough courage, as she instead barricades herself inside the home and pretends as if the world no longer exists.
July 17th, I think. Yeah, July 17th. I am a fool. And the world is shit. The police station. What was I thinking? That I'd get a well, howdy, ma'am, what's bothering you? I am an idiot. And I need to wake up. Wake up to the reality that everything is fucked. Like that goddamn helicopter. How can you even know who's infected and who's not when you're up that high? Do they care? Do I? You know, I didn't believe the rumors of the military causing that fire, but now I'm not so sure. Are they desperate, or... I don't know, has this been their approach from the start? I don't think I'm getting a white knight in shining armor. Emily,